Hi, I'm Andrew Isker. I'm a pastor in Jackson County, Tennessee, and I'm excited to go to Shelbyville, Kentucky for the next War Room. I'm very honored to have been invited, and I will be speaking about tactical faithfulness and what that is, what that means. I'll be speaking about raising faithful Christians, particularly faithful young men that are prepared and ready to remain faithful and pursue active faithfulness in very, very dangerous times.
How did you guys handle this last Sunday? What'd you guys do? Did you change
Uh,
everything?
not everything. I changed what I planned on preaching on. Um, that changed, but everything else pretty much remained the same. It was funny. My the accompanist, her husband messaged me on like Friday night. I was like, "Hey, do you want my wife to change the songs to be more warlike?" And I looked over what I picked out, and I'm like, "We're pretty much warlike every Sunday, so like that didn't really need to change." And so yeah, I think we were, I mean, it's been a week now, man, and I still am still in shock.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
still like not quite fully come to grips with the fact that this actually happened.
Yeah.
And so that state of shock still kind of was there on Sunday, but really what I mostly focused on was the kind of stuff that was known by like Saturday or Sunday.
Hmm.
And I mean, you had a pretty good idea already, like Thursday or Friday, that the shooter was some kind of lefty. I think by Saturday it was revealed that he had a trans boyfriend.
Yeah.
But like the main thing was the reaction that came out of it, that a pretty good percentage of the entire country was overjoyed and celebrating and happy
Hmm.
that Charlie was killed. And so whatever the, circumstances of it in particular, or stuff like, oh, it was a foreign government involved, in especially a particular foreign government, like people are focusing on all that stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe not. Like, we'll never really know. That those things don't actually matter as much as the fact that a huge chunk of our country wants people like me and my congregants dead,
Yeah.
and for what we believe in,
Yeah.
that what we believe is so dangerous and so threatening to their existence that we have to be killed.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I preached on Judges chapter 20, and that was really my main focus, is that like you have a whole bunch of people in the country that are the tribe of Benjamin that are defending and supporting a heinous crime, a great evil, and
Hmm.
you cannot share a society with people like that. Like
Yeah.
they have to be, and of course I had to be careful, because I know the media will uh, watch every single thing I ever say,
Yeah.
and if I don't make it explicitly clear, like I'm not saying it's a one-to-one analogy that we should go to war with liberals and wipe them out like Israel wiped out the tribe of Benjamin,
Yeah.
but rather like they should be completely ostracized from society. They should never hold positions of prominence ever again. That you cannot tolerate these kinds of things. And And so like that was what I did. I think it I don't know. I mean, because I was thinking like, all right, I know how like big Eva type people will handle this if they handle it at all. It's love and reconciliation, and we need to turn the temperature down and things like that. And it's like, no, you can't, you can't. And a lot of it was just getting everyone to wrap their minds around the fact um that people are going to try to manipulate you. They're going to try to manipulate your Christian charity and goodness and gentleness to serve evil.
Yeah.
And you should not allow them to manipulate you in this way. Do not allow them to say, "Oh, Jesus would want you to turn the other cheek," because if you read the story of Judges, 19 and 20, right? If somebody went up to them and said, after the Levite tells the story of what happened to his wife at Gibeah, and says, "Hey, look, man, we need to have reconciliation and unity, and we just got to turn the temperature down, and Jesus would want you to turn the other cheek." Like that would be the most absurd thing ever, and it shows how absurd their thinking is on those passages,
Yeah.
because that's not what Jesus is talking about. He's not talking about, yeah, when they do violence and terrorism, you should not want Caesar to wield the sword against that, right? Which is what everyone is calling for. It's not us anyone saying, yeah, we need to go put together death squads and go kill people and be vigilantes. It's God has instituted governments for a reason. He's given them the sword for a reason, to be an avenger of wrath against those who do evil, and that's what we're calling them to do.
Yeah.
And that is a perfectly valid and Christian attitude toward all of these things. And
100%.
and I think people, just they need to hear that. They need to be reassured. I mean, everybody, I think, in our congregation already, thought that way, but it's different when it comes from the pulpit and it backs up your instincts, and you're told that no, that your instincts are good, that they're Christian, that this is a godly way to think about these things, not just that you're not just lashing out in anger in a sinful way,
Yeah.
but that you want justice. But yeah, what did you guys do?
So we have two bites at the apple on the Lord's Day. We have what we call a
Okay.
discipleship hour, which is before our main Lord's Day celebration, as we call it. So I
Yeah.
mean, so for the Lord's Day celebration, we stayed in the text that I was in before. We go through two books. We've been going through the Old Testament. I'm in Second Kings currently. Dude, I love preaching through the Old Testament. Like
Yeah, me too.
I got to preach about Jezebel's demise here a couple weeks ago, and that I wish that was queued up for or for this last week. But so we very much feel like we're already addressing these kind of things. We're already in the
Yeah.
public eye, so we know that we're hated. What this
Yeah.
did is kind of demonstrated the temperature, how it's growing. You made a
Yeah.
statement. I think you may have inspired me. I might write an article about this, but we do not have control over the temperature valve. We don't have
Yeah.
control over that. I
No.
can't turn it down. It's going up regardless, and that was mainly our thrust. So in the discipleship hour,
Yeah.
we as elders, we sat up on the stage in kind of an open mic, and just we talked about the current, the state of the union, effectively, of our church and
Yeah.
of what's going on in the nation around us. And honestly, we didn't get through everything we wanted to say, and all the questions weren't asked. So
I'm sure.
this Lord's Day, we're going to do exactly the same thing and just sit up there and just have a open, transparent dialogue with the congregation about where we're at. And then Tanner, when
Yeah.
in our Lord's Day celebration, we opened up with obviously imprecatory psalms and all kinds of stuff. And I think
Good.
we have very similar churches. We were singing some pretty strong songs on the Lord's Day, and I love it. I just love that we've been prepared for this moment, even though it hurts, and it's a nine
Yeah.
11 shocking type of an
Yeah.
experience. We were not unprepared for this. Whereas I think
Yeah.
other pulpits, other churches, they're like, do we now get engaged? Do we need now to do, what do we do? That's what their congregation's asking.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're anticipating what we experienced in COVID, where you're going to
Yeah.
have churches that did nothing, are doing nothing, saying nothing, not responding, not caring for their people. And the people are going, okay, oh, I need to be a part of a church that actually
Yeah.
has a vision for this warfare that we're in right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see what the end result is. But I don't know if you've experienced already. I've gotten messages, on our from our our, what do you call it, the email form that people put in, that people
Mm.
are coming to
Hmm.
church. I want to find Jesus. This really shook me up. We've looked up your church. We're getting those kind of things already.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think so. I think that kind of thing is, I think you bring up a good point about that, the anemic response, by many churches that have been conditioned for decades to just bury their heads in the sand on everything,
Yeah.
and not out of like some uh biblical principle or something that, it's just not what we should do, or whatever, but rather for pragmatic reasons, right? That if you avoid sensitive topics, if you avoid engaging in these things, then no one will get upset in either
Yeah.
direction. And so, people don't want that, right? They want leadership. They want someone speaking with moral authority and moral clarity
Mm.
about things that honestly are pretty murky. Like it is for a lot of people, like really murky. Like, how should I feel about this? Am I being a bad Christian if I'm angry
Yeah.
about what happened? Is there something wrong with me? And the response that you get from like many Christian leaders today is basically, yeah, kind of. There's probably something wrong with you if you're angry and upset about this. And so people are definitely looking for something more. I mean, I thought it was interesting, going to, there was a prayer vigil, in Cookeville, Tennessee, near us here, for Charlie, and most of the speakers, I mean, it was very good. A lot of gospel presentations and things like that were wonderful. But I could tell from the crowd, and there was probably like 1,500 or 2,000 people there by
Mm.
the end of it. I could tell just by the reaction from the crowd when any of the speakers kind of, tiptoed up to the line where like I'm sure you saw, Erica Kirk's, remarks, a day or two after
Mm.
Charlie was killed. And when I watched that, I was expecting to hear, because I was somewhat familiar with her and things that she said. I was really expecting it to be very much like the kind of anemic evangelicalism that we're so used to, where it's like, oh, love everyone and be sweet and kind and gentle, and we want to turn the other cheek and all of those kinds of things. And she didn't do any of that at all.
No.
Right. She went up and she said, like, boldly, that there can be no unity with people that want us dead. There's going to be justice.
Hmm.
And so at this vigil, anytime someone even just got somewhat close to that, that's when the crowd got really loud, and they were wanting it, and none of the speakers ever really quite went there. I mean, most of them were college students that weren't used to speaking to a crowd,
Yeah.
and and I think many of them just you know also are probably discipled in kind of a weaker evangelicalism, where you're not really allowed to get fired up
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah.
So nobody really went there, and the entire time I'm thinking, like, man, I wish I could have spoken for like 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and I will give the people what they want, which is like clear direction, clear uh uh guidance, clear speech
Yeah.
about, this is where we are at. This is what is happening. Like, this man was killed for believing all the same things that every single one of you believe,
Yeah.
right? That's why he was killed. They believe that if they just kill us, that we're going to go away, that they're going to win, and they're not going to win.
Mhm.
Right? Like that kind of thing needs to be said. And honestly, like the reaction to all of this afterward has heartened me a lot. I'm not disheartened about it in the least. I would be if we all just slunk back and cowered,
Yeah.
and people are not doing that at all. People are actually becoming bolder as a result of this, and it feels like something is awakening in our country. I mean, I think some of it too is right. I know you guys get a lot of this. I've gotten a lot of this where you get labeled like we've had a reporter from Nashville who is like this Antifa aligned TV journalist who loves to accuse people of being fascists and Nazis and white supremacists and any one of those slurs, preaching hate. That's that he's done several stories on us on things that I've said or CJ has said or whatever. Um, Always, of course, like taking them out of context and then putting them up against like and they're very clever, right? They know the laws really well.
Mhm.
They never directly say that Andrew Isker is a Nazi, right? They will say he has said things that are similar to what Nazis say,
Yeah.
right? And in the minds of the public, the tens or hundreds of thousands of people watching it, uh, they don't get that nuance, right? They don't catch that, right?
Yeah.
All they hear is this guy's a Nazi, this guy's a
Yep.
fascist, this guy preaches hate, and so what that does is it sends the signal to whatever lunatics are out there on the radical left, whatever
Yeah.
you know organized violent cells that exist in this country, that here's a target, here's someone for you to go kill.
Yep.
And what it also does is it tells anyone that if you're a Christian and you speak boldly about what is taking place, boldly about political things, boldly about cultural things, that you are full of hate, that you are like a Nazi, that you are the most evil person that has ever existed. And what this has done is I think it in the minds of a substantial portion of the public who could otherwise be swayed by these tactics. What it's done is show people that like no, I just believe normal Christian stuff,
Yeah.
right, and apply it to our life today,
Yeah.
right? That's what I believe. And even it was interesting. I went back and looked because we responded to him in his initial question, right? I'm doing a story on you guys. Do you have any comment? Um, and and we just said that like the views that I have are pretty mainstream conservative views. Like they're really indistinguishable from someone like Tucker Carlson or Charlie Kirk.
Exactly.
And
Oh, you you
I
said that.
I used his name. Yeah, I
Oh,
used
wow.
Charlie's name in that. And it's like, and it's 100% true,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and look at the things that this person believed, uh, and why he killed Charlie. It's because he's preaching hate, right? What's the hate that he's preaching? That God has made man and woman, and the two don't change. They're different. They're not the same.
Yeah.
That what the Bible says is true about sex, right? That's hate. Um, right. That's the stuff that drives them nuts. That's the stuff that drives them insane.
Yes, sir.
And and so like that's the hate that they believe. I believe then they love to like say I want to take away women's rights and things like that. And I just always tell people, I'm like, actually, yeah, that's true. But there's really only one right I definitely want to take away from women, and that's the right to murder their baby.
Hmm.
Right? Do you believe in women's rights? Do you believe in that right? Uh, and it's like, right? That because that's how they frame it. Like you're this misogynist or whatever. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want women to murder their babies.
Yeah.
So call if you're gonna call me a misogynist or whatever, then go ahead. But that's really all I care about, and that's what they hate, right? They don't hate anything other than that. They hate that you would tell them that no, like if you get pregnant, that's a human being and you can't murder it. That's what drives people insane
Yeah. Yeah.
is just basic normal Christian truth that hasn't changed, right? I haven't changed my belief on any of these things in my entire lifetime. And and neither did Charlie. And he's dead now
Yeah.
because of boldly saying what he believed. And I think the future is going to belong to those who do the same thing that Charlie did. Those who just told the truth.
Yeah.
Those who who spoke honestly about what God says in His Word. And yeah, I don't think I think one of the things that died with Charlie last week was this kind of third way evangelicalism, this kind of Kellerite. We're gonna just stay out of it to not offend anybody, right? That world is over.
Yeah.
It's done, right? Either you directly engage the things that are happening now, the things that people really care about, which it's not like it's funny. I think people probably have this impression that like every single Sunday, all I ever talk about is like political and cultural stuff from the pulpit. And it's like, no, I preach, expository sermons. Like
Yeah.
we've been going through the book of Genesis all year. And like, I'm not going to be, I mean, this is why I changed what I preached on this last Sunday, was on Genesis 36. Like, you're really constricted by the actual text, which is good, right? Because then the sermon isn't about the pastor. Then the sermon isn't about whatever his own personality is and
Yeah.
what he likes and what he's interested in, right? You preach the word.
Yeah.
And I've like that's the first time in like a decade of preaching regularly, over a decade, that I've ever changed my text on a Sunday
Yeah.
to match something that happened, in current events or whatever. Um, and because I'm just like I'm constrained by what God's word says. That's what it says is what we're going to talk about on Sunday. And yeah, my sermon was supposed to be on Genesis 36, on Esau's genealogy. And I'm like, there's actually a lot of stuff there that is good, and the word of God is profitable for all of it. Every single word of it is, and so there's edification there that God's people will have, but that wasn't the particular one that was needed, and that's one where it's like I can't shoehorn whatever I want to talk about when I'm going through Esau's genealogy. Like you just can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to talk about what the text talks about, and so yeah, that's like I just preach the Bible every Sunday, and if there's relevant like cultural or political things that match up with the text, yeah, then I'll talk about them.
Yeah.
I won't avoid them. But it's not like every Sunday is just this culture war every single Sunday. And I'm sure like people probably get that same impression of you guys and many others that are engaged, which is just not true at all.
No. No. Just a word. I'm cheap and I only have the freeze,
Okay.
and it's probably going to kill out on me at 30 minutes, and then I'll have to do another video with you. But let me ask you a question, and this may
Yeah.
be maybe what I can clip out. Well, all of that might be really good to just kind of talk
Yeah.
about.
Whatever you want to use. Yeah.
Well, here's the question. Um, we had charged you about uh, teaching us in the war room about
Yeah.
tactical faithfulness in light of what just happened with Charlie Kirk. How do you feel like, do you feel like it might change? Anything you wanted to say?
Um, Yeah, honestly, I don't think will change anything about like in particular in terms of the details.
Yeah.
Um, because I've been thinking about what I'm going to say. I've been doing some work on it already. Almost 2 months out or 6 weeks out now. Um, I don't think it anything will change. But I do think that the the intensity of why these things matter
Yeah.
definitely changes, right? Like I think like this subject of a bold and forceful and very masculine Christian faith, um that that like I think most of the people that already were going to come to the conference already kind of understand the value there
Yeah.
and why that matters.
Yeah.
And but now it's like laser focused,
Yeah.
right? Now it's, oh, this really does matter,
Yeah. We know
right?
the
Like we're
why.
not,
We know
yeah,
why
yeah,
with
yeah,
clarity. Yeah.
yeah. Like I think the biggest thing I've noticed is so many people that I'm friends with and have known for many years, that aren't really, but aren't in the same world that I'm in. People I've knew in college or high school or grew up with, that probably maybe thought like, well, Andrew's into all of these things and this, he's involved in political and cultural stuff. And that's his interest and everything. I think all of them realized that this stuff is life and death.
Mm.
That this is not just like, oh, that's your cool hobby or interest. Like I really like duck hunting and I really like golf and you really like culture war. Like they don't think of it that in that way anymore at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It's, oh, these things really matter, right? What the things that you were saying, people want to kill you because of it,
Yeah.
right? People want you dead because you say the things that you do. Um, it is changed in that way, right? So like the message, has not changed at all. I don't think. I mean, there's certain things I'll probably say a little bit differently or more forcefully now, but the the reality has changed in the sense that like these are not theoreticals, right? This is not, we're not just up in an ivory tower thinking thoughts, that these things matter to life here and now, that this is flesh and blood stuff. This is life and death stuff. And the future, it's a precarious future in front of us. I think the question of like how serious is the Trump administration and all of the people in Washington, how serious are they going to take this? Are they really going to go scorched earth? Are they going to let Stephen Miller just, are they going to unleash him and let him do his thing?
Mhm.
Or are they not? And then we're in for a lot more bloodshed. A lot more of our people will be killed.
Yeah.
And we have to prepare for either way. And and know that God might call us home as martyrs,
Yeah.
because of what we believe, and we need to prepare with that in the back of our heads.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, brother. I got to speak at so we have another one tonight. The Republican Party is putting on a
Mm,
what do you call it, a vigil tonight. But we put an impromptu one on, not we, but somebody did, and we went to it on
mm.
Saturday night, and it was just like 100 people there. It's because it was too quick, and we're a really small town. And as I got up to speak. I spoke for probably 4 or 5 minutes and gave what you were wanting to give. I gave it,
Yeah,
just a real charge. And but the whole time I'm looking at the roof line across the way because
yeah,
I know people are looking for me. And it's not
yeah,
just my views. I'm actually in the public eye, and I'm one of the most hated men in Shelby County here because of those views. And I'm sure you are known. If you walk down to a
yeah.
coffee shop, people recognize you. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I've communicated to my congregation is that it's the same message. I haven't changed my message. I haven't changed my beliefs in my whole
Yeah.
Christian walk on these issues because it's what the
Yeah.
scriptures say. And I haven't come to them as though they're new things. It's just what I've always been told. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm aware that that's my message, but what's happened around me is the temperature is changing, and it's the
Yeah.
intensity of this is changing. And so
Mhm.
what I would typically have said before now gets people literally stalking us and talking about us and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And so I think that, but what is it? It is still this tactical faithfulness. It is still, I'm
That's
going to
right.
be faithful to this word, but I'm not going to compromise. I'm going to say it. I'm going to prepare my children for it. They're going to
Yeah.
know I'm raising my children in an environment where that temperature is going to be hotter than it is now, if
Yeah.
things don't change. And so I need to instill in my kids and my family and my church just a backbone and a resolve because these things, the faithfulness, ordinary faithfulness, will become increasingly flammable in this world. It's gonna. That's how I'm viewing it, and so
Yeah.
I'm excited about having you
Yeah.
come just to charge us again. I feel kind of prophetic, in the way we were talking about it, and then to talk to you.
Yeah.
Then this happens. We're like, what I told my
Yeah.
congregation was this: what do you do this Lord's Day that you didn't do last Lord's Day? We're doing exactly
Yeah.
the same thing. We're going to
That's
baptize,
right.
we're going to take communion, we're going to hear the word preached, we're going to go into our workplaces, we're going to be faithful Christians, we're going to speak the truth, we're
Yeah.
not going to shy. We did that last week, we're doing it this week, but the culture around us changed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. I mean, and I think the good news from all of this is that there are so many more people now, so many more Christian people that that want to hear things like this,
Yeah,
right? They want to hear that um, that you your your Christian faith is going to be offensive. It's going to offend people, and you need to be comfortable with that. You need
yeah,
to be willing to fight for what is true and right. You need to be able to stand up for it. You should stop cowering. You should stop being afraid of offending people, right? Offending people that think men can become women, right? Why would you care about offending them or offending
yeah,
people that think, it's perfectly fine and all right to murder your baby? Like, why do you care about offending these people,
yeah,
right? And I think it maybe took Charlie dying, being murdered by one of these sickos for them to be like, oh yeah, and then seeing like the sickos they knew in high school or college or in their workplace like post on Facebook, yeah, I'm glad he's dead, he deserved it,
yeah,
uh, right? Like to see, oh, like I'm worried about offending that person,
yeah,
really, right? And I mean, I think the biggest thing in all of it is Christians learning to assert the moral high ground. That's something we haven't done. We're always on the defensive. We're always assuming that the people that hate us have the moral high ground, and we're trying to like get into their good graces.
yeah,
When the reality is like, no, you have it, right? Why would you cede that to these people? They're disgusting and evil. They believe evil things, and they're willing to kill
yeah,
to enforce those beliefs on everyone else. uh, why would you cede moral high ground to them and not just say, this is what God has said? God is true. God is right. God exists. And this is what he has spoken. This is what he has said. And what you believe is insane. And what God has said is good and right. And it makes everything work, right?
yeah,
It makes all of life work better. And and so just assume the center, right? Assume the moral high ground
yeah,
and never, ever, ever cede it. I think millions of Christians learned that lesson this last week. That's something that watching. I mean, I've watched clips of Charlie for years now, and that's something that he always did. Right? He never ceded moral high ground to the people he would debate with.
yeah,
Right? Never once. And that is what offended people, is that he would say the things that he did and had and and didn't equivocate. He wasn't ever wishy-washy. He never tried to make what he was saying fit the warped morality of the people he'd argue with. It was always, no, what I believe is right and true because it is, and God has said it.
Yep.
And that I think is the single biggest, shift in attitudes that seems to be coming out of this is right. I think the left, it already had overplayed its hand by 2022 or after 2022 and in the embrace of trans insanity and DEI stuff and all of those things. And you saw the backlash to that in the 2024 election, and even beyond politics, like just culturally, people pushing back against it, people going to school board meetings and so forth, or going to the local library and vandalizing their books righteously, and like there were already like people were already pushing back against these things. And now I think the left appears just utterly repulsive to any normal person today.
Yep.
And it will continue to decline, to descend. And in the same manner, this sort of like negative world, as that we kind of have been in. I think Aaron Ren's kind of theory is more or less right, that I actually think negative world is dying, in at least in the sense that there's still going to be at least half the country that thinks you're a bad person if you're a Christian, that thinks you're evil if you just believe the things the Bible says. But I think the other half of the country that was maybe like too afraid to disagree with them, now is like, no, if you believe the Bible and you're a Christian, like you're not a bad person. Like these things are good, and is willing to stand up. So it's almost like our world is so bifurcated that you still have negative world on the one half, but on the other half, you just skipped over back to neutral world, and you're like in positive world now, where someone like Charlie is a hero. Someone saying the things that Charlie did today is doing something courageous and heroic and is honored. And that is incredibly heartening. And I pray that it continues, that people don't forget that time doesn't just move on and people start to soften in this way. I pray that it continues on, that people continue to be bold. And yeah, I mean, that is kind of the stuff I was already going to be talking about. And so now it takes on a completely different life, a completely different level of intensity and focus.